Okay, right. So let's start now. So the basic overview of what we are going to do during the lesson, especially, right? So as I mentioned, there are two sections. One part is assigned for the theory section, where we will be revising all the theories and studying the theories. And then to recap the theories, we will be doing the paper lesson as well, right? Okay. First, students, to understand my teaching level and the teaching methods, um, I will explain a certain concept. Today, we are not going to start the whole topic as usual because the other students, they will miss out, right? So therefore, just a basic idea I'll give. And what are the simpler techniques we are going to use for the grade 11, grade 10 and 11. We are going to implement these methods for both because since it's the O-level batches for 2024, 25 and 26 as well. Okay, so the main difference in our Sci Quest Academy is where we follow the simple techniques for the students to understand science in a very easy manner and to have a great interest in science, right? So, yeah, let's start just the first topic. So, you all can see that the overall idea of how many topics are there. That's a very important. You have two sections as part one and part two. 20 topics are there. And remember, students, 60% of your O levels is contributed to grade 10. So your grade 10 should be established properly. Your grade 10 foundation should be very good in order to do the G.C.E O level papers. Okay, right. So you can see there are about 20 topics. So the ones which are highlighted in blue, it's given to chemistry. Yes, you have to know that there are three subjects: biology, chemistry, physics. There are three different subjects where you have to deal in three different ways. I will explain you, especially after you join the usual lessons. I will explain you how to deal with these three subjects. Especially biology, we have to deal in a different manner. Uh, Usually, what we do is like learning the things, studying it. So sometimes there can be a lot of notes, load of work. So in that case, we are there to make your load, reduce your load, and to make your work easier. Because by giving summary tables, even we did a initial trial lesson also. Some students, they joined, so they knew that what we are going to do. So especially we will implement tables, flow charts, and kind of summary notes in order to understand. Summary notes is a common thing because you all have seen short notes, summary notes. Those are the common things. But here it's very new because we're going to implement new methods, especially summary tables. Hope you all have not that aware about these summary tables. Whatever we study, that's what we are going to do the paper, because no way to do the paper past papers now because you are not aware of anything in grade 10. Right. So therefore, what we are going to do, summarize the table and whatever the content. For an example, if we start the topic one, let's say particular day, let's say today we have done these about carbohydrates. Let's take an example. So therefore, I will try to give you a complete summary table, which would include all the information and which will gather all the information for pages, and pages will be just given in one page. Now, let's say if the whole topic is about 10 pages, you don't need to study the 10 pages. I know when students see the amount of pages, they count the amount of pages and they get stressed themselves for the exams and for their termed exams or whatever the exams. The reason, because it's not about learning the number of pages. It's about learning the concept in a very simple way. And remember, our Sci Quest Academy is there for you all to work smart, to teach you how to work smart, not work hard. Okay? Hard working, the productivity or the effectiveness is very less. Smart working with, because the other thing, you have another 8 more subjects to deal with, especially 6 subjects main compulsory, and the other sub-optional subjects are also there. So you have to contribute time for that as well. You can't only involve in science, right? So therefore, you're going to study in an easy manner, and I will explain today an overview of how we are going to prepare the summary tables, what are these route mind maps, flow charts, everything will be explained and discussed today. Okay, students? Is there anything to ask or any doubts of whatever we discussed now so far? It's clear, right? Okay, I can see. Yeah, what is the issue? You have raised your hand, Shahin.
Do we need to take notes? Will we be taking notes?
Notes in sense, Pota, it's like this. That's what I said. Simple notes we are going to give you, not going to give you paragraphs and waste time. In our particular time, the main thing we explain and then we give you simple notes. But it's like if you are good with taking notes while we explain, sometimes I'll give some general ideas because I have broader knowledge on these sections. Sometimes for extra knowledge, we give for students, okay, these are the things you need to a little know about carbohydrate, the extra knowledge things. So those things, if you're okay with noting, yes, you can note. Or if you request us through the chat, let's say, please give us a note on this particular topic or particular subtopic or whatever the information I gave you as an extra note, we will be doing that as well. It depends on the student's request because some students, they refer questions, they refer to notes. So different students study in different patterns. We don't mind about whatever the patterns you study, we are going to help you according to your convenience. That's our target. Okay, right. Good. If there's any questions, you all can unmute your microphone or you can send a clear message to the chat and you can ask. Feel free. And if it's even the usual lessons, you are allowed to ask any questions, any doubts, because science is a subject where you might get many doubts. But at the end of the day, your doubts should be completely clarified and you should be free of mind to know that science is easy. Understood? Right. Now, students actually, because of these government the delays because of the third terms and all over, doesn't matter. We have time, but the thing is, I will try to explain you all in a very basic manner the concepts. But what you all have to do, normally whatever we do, we can do like 80% for y'all. But the rest 20 should be done by y'all by self-revising what we give during the lesson. Self-revision is an important because that's why we recommend students to join the paper lesson also. Paper lesson is where whatever we studied today, now let's say we studied carbohydrates, types of carbohydrates, we will be giving as a kind of a paper or a question format, giving you some time to do the questions, and then we'll be discussing them. How can you deal with these questions in a very easy manner? Okay, right. Is that clear for you all?
Yes, sir.
It's clear. Good. Right. And feel free to ask any doubts. Okay. Now, students, actually, the basic idea of this topic is, students, it's chemical basis of life. Now, you'll think there are about many pages and pages. Do we have to learn these months to months? No, we don't take even a month. The idea is, students, biomolecules in nature, there are natural biomolecules. I'm going to use the board. Oh, 1 second. Okay. Biomolecules can be divided into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Great. Okay. First one, students, that's the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. And the second one is the proteins. The number 3, don't worry, students, we'll be discussing each of these biomolecules in a detailed way, right? Okay. And nucleic acids and lipids, right? These are the 4 categories. So this is the overview of topic 1. Simply I gave you within 5 minutes or 1 minute. This is the overview. Students, this is the method actually they follow in universities, right? So we are going to implement this for the GCE O level batch also, especially for 10 and 11, in order to make science easier. Because when you go for your college studies or whatever the higher studies, Even for your advanced level, especially the local ones, national ones, they are not using these kind of methods, right? So these are easy methods where you can learn in a very easy manner. But we thought of implementing these methods for these students where it will make your work easier and it will give you a good output as well, especially the progress of the students. And when we implement methods similar to this, flow charts, tables, we had a great success rate as well, because students, they give a lot of feedbacks that's very easier, and that reduces their burden to study. Okay, right. Now, what I'm going to do, display the entire thing which is needed in a one screen or one picture. Right. So this is what you're going to learn in topic 1. So first you will be studying one by one in detail, one carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, and lipids. Right. And then students, under each category is what you have to learn. I will try to list into subtopics. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Okay. Okay. Number 1, students, you all should know the elemental composition, students. What are those elemental composition? Elemental composition. It's like this. So since you have not that aware of these elements and all those stuff, you'll be studying in chemistry in detail, right? But in grade 9, at least you have studied the different elements like sodium, potassium, lithium. So these are the elements actually present in nature. So we will be studying about this elemental composition. Wait. Okay. Because it's going to be common, students. Carbohydrates elemental composition is going to be CHO. Carbon is present in it, hydrogen is present, oxygen is present. So similarly, students, when it comes to the other types of elemental composition, it varies, it changes. For example, proteins, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. That's additional elemental composition. So why we are making these, creating these flow charts or constructing these flow charts in order to make a overall table. Now, let's say if it's a first feature elemental composition, we're going to compare every elemental compositions at once. Carbohydrates, what's the elemental composition? Proteins, what's it? Nucleic acids, what's it? Lipids, what's it? So that's what we are going to do, right? The first thing. Did you all understand about that? The elemental composition? Any doubts with that part?
No, sir.
No doubts, right? Okay. Right, Shahin? Okay, it's clear, right? Yeah. Okay. If there's any doubts, if you don't hesitate, at least to send through a chat message through the microphone, okay? Unmute a microphone, or you can send a chat message, right? Then the other part, students, the second part, elemental composition. After the elemental composition, what you all need to understand is especially the functions and the importance of carbohydrate. What is the usefulness of carbohydrate in the living environment, or to the existence of life, especially to human, plants, or it can be animals. So that's the entire biosphere we compose, isn't it? Right. So the importance, that's the importance. We'll be learning about the importance, why it's important, and functions of each. Now, students, when I give that particular topic importance and functions, you're going to list the carbohydrate importance and functions, proteins in the other column, nucleic acids and lipids, because they will have their own importance. Isn't it? Right. Then the next one, our next target is about types. Definitely you have types of carbohydrates, types of proteins as well, types of nucleic acids, which is DNA and RNA, lipids as well. There are types of lipids we have to discuss, right? Types. Then the other part, students, the food tests. That is a very, very important thing. Hope you all have never learned about it because it's a new thing. The food test we conduct or we carry out. Because now let's say we say carbohydrate is present in food. How can you confirm it? What is a confirmatory test? Right. Now, for example, if you are like fever, what we do, we consult the doctor. We visit the doctor or the general physician. So what they do, they take the relevant tests, or at least they use the thermometer to check your fever, isn't it? Right. So therefore, that's a confirmatory test. Now you say with the symptoms, you say, oh, okay, I have this body ache. I have a little bit chilling, kind of shivering. I couldn't eat the food, and I have a little bit nausea, vomiting condition. So you can give the symptoms. So what will the doctor do to confirm all your symptoms and signs? What will he do? He will try to take the necessary tests, the relevant tests, the laboratory tests, especially the blood tests are recommended, and these tests. That's a confirmatory test. So to confirm what disease you have or what condition you have, and they will accordingly they will give the treatments. That's how it goes, right? Similarly, even in biology or even in science, there are food tests, students. Now you can see carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acid, lipids. They have their own food tests. Now, for example, now I say, let's take a food with carbohydrate. Rice or bread. Bread has more carbohydrates. We have learned in our grade 6, 7, 8, 9, isn't it? But how can we confirm that exactly it has carbohydrates or not? That's because, students, what we do, we take a sample, a little bit, a sample means a little bit amount of carbohydrate, let's say a bread sample. You mix it with little of water, and there is a reagent, a chemical used to detect it. That's known as the Benedict test. We say Benedict test. So it's a blue color solution that's not available in normal shops or anything. You have to get it from the laboratory. That's only approved in the laboratories. A Benedict solution, the blue color solution, students. I'll show some colors also about the solutions after I finish this flowchart part. Then what we do, we add that particular solution to our sample of bread. Normally, we don't put the whole bread inside it. Just take a sample, dissolve in water, mix it with water, kind of like make it kind of a solution, kind of like a solution, and add some Benedict powder or the Benedict solution to it, the Benedict chemical reagent. Then what happens? There will be a color change that will occur if there is carbohydrate present in it. Especially, students, remember, in the food test, you will have to know the observation and then the conclusion. Those are the two things you need to know. Conclusion. Observation and conclusion. 1 second. Okay. Observation. What happens, especially in a food test, students, the color change happens. Now, when it comes to a carbohydrate, what happens? The color change. Normally, the Benedict solution, when you add it to the piece of sample of bread or whatever the bread solution you'd make it, then you can use a mortar and a pestle. Pestle. I'll show what is a mortar and a pestle. You used to grind it using your pestle and mortar, right? And you take that bread solution, add some a little bit of, these would be very interesting, students. To make it further interesting, I will like support you all with some videos. I'll share some very simple videos, so science would be like interesting, because these things you all have to know the practical idea as well. So unfortunately, we couldn't do the practicals physically, but we are here to give you the virtual environment of the practicals as well. So you can observe what are the color changes, what are the challenges that occur during an experiment you do. Okay, right. Then the color change will be blue to kind of a series of color change. It occurs actually green, orange, and finally it will form to a brick red precipitate. Brick red means kind of like a dark red color. It's not a red either. It's a kind of a very dark red color. This shows that where there's a series of color change, that's a very important thing. In carbohydrates, it's very special. It has a series of color change. So in that case, second. Right. So in that case, students, you have to know that. Now, let's say if it's a green color change, first initial green, blue to green. I will show it here, the series of color change. Blue to green. Then around orange. Then it will turn to brick red. or red color also they might refer to. Okay, so why the color changes are occurring like in this series of color change in a pattern that shows that if there's a little amount of carbohydrates in it, what happens? It will just turn green. If there's more percentage or more concentration of carbohydrate in it, it will turn orange or brick red. But if it has the highest amount of carbohydrate, let's say if there's a food like pasta, it has more carbohydrate in it, so therefore it might turn brick red. But some foods like roti, they have less amount of carbohydrates in it, so they might turn green. Even a little amount of carbohydrate can be detected by the color change. Understood that part? Any doubts with that section? Y'all can quickly send through the chat messages. Shaheen have understood, right? All right, I think so. If there's any doubts, you can ask through the chat messages, right? Okay.
No doubt.
No doubts. Great. Okay. Great to hear. Right. So this is the basic idea. Actually, students, this is not how I do my usual lessons. I don't rush out like this. By step, for every student, I give the attention and then we do the usual lessons, right? Okay. So this is the basic idea. Now you can see, students, now elemental composition, importance and function, types, food test and observe food test we include. Every biomolecules, they have their own food test. Actually, you have to learn a lot of food test here. So the main idea of doing food test is, students, where we have to include an observation, especially it should be a color change occur, and the conclusion. And if there's any special notes, we are gonna gather those special notes as well. Note, okay? Right. Now, we'll move to the next part. Okay, there's another student joining. Okay, anyway, it's getting recorded now, so the other students also can get the opportunity to listen to it. Right, fine. So this is the basic idea, right? Now, students, it's the how we deal with the theory one by one in a simpler manner. And I'll show you all some examples of summary tables, what we have done for our badges, previous badges. Give us 1 second. Yeah, dear, I know, I'm muted. I didn't still speak. I was finding the documents which are necessary to show you all, right? Okay. Thank you for the update. Right. Okay. Now this is what I wanted to share with you all actually. I think I'm sharing the screen. Okay. Right. Now you can see this is one of actually a grade 11 because since we implement this method for grade 11, this was the first method. Can see we normally give this layout for students, right? So we make the layout for them, including some pictures, diagrams, and you can see that how we make the layout also. We give that experience also. Now let's say normally what do the intuitions, what do? They just make it and they send it to you. But here, during the lesson time, to make it more interactive, what we do is like while we make the layout, you can see what we are going to do, and we will be discussing with some students. If there's any ideas you all can share with us, we can include that information as well. Right. So this is a table which is given for epithelial, connective, and muscle tissue. Now you can see very important and detailed pictures are given like this, diagrams are given, and then we will be giving the layout. So it's the student's responsibility to complete those layouts and send to us. Definitely we'll send a feedback to them. Okay, right. And the feedbacks, and also if it's the best one, we are going to select the best one and display it during the lesson as well for the other students, because it's a good example. We have done that because if a student does well, if the layout is really professional and if it's perfect, there's nothing to correct, and more information as expected is given, what we will do to uh, create an example for other students and as a standard for the other students, we will share it with the whole class and with the permission of the student. If the student willing to share it, definitely we'll do that, and we will try to give an idea and share the knowledge. That's our main mission of Sci Quest Academy. Right. Okay. This is one of the example students, but I have a one grade 10 as well. I'll show the grade 10. You can look at it. Actually, when studying about gases, many students say that chemistry is harder. We heard that from grade 10, one of the student, he said that grade 10 is harder, chemistry especially. It's confusing. But we did all the grade 10 concepts within about 1 month or 1.5 months. Just the basics. And now he's okay with chemistry, saying that chemistry is very easy than the other subjects. I say biology is the harder one because you have to learn that you have to learn as it is. But in chemistry and physics, it's not like that. Very few concepts are there. You have to learn the concepts and apply them to the questions. Especially students in the theory class, I will be sharing some worksheets for you all as well. I will. These are some whatever the as I mentioned, the summary tables, the flow charts, the new methods we have implemented. And the common methods also we use, especially in the paper class. We'll stop sharing. I will share you some worksheets. Actually, we provide worksheets for students. Okay. 1 second, please. I'll just show you a worksheet on chemistry. At the moment, we have a chemistry worksheet. Right, so this is a worksheet, student. We have done for the grade 10 ionic bonding, right? So you can see we normally give a layout of the table, and it's your part to fill it. And also we give more attention for the students, not just sending these worksheets. Even during the lesson, half of the worksheet will be discussed as well. Discussed, and every student's answer should be sent through the chat, or they have given another option where you can take a picture of what you have done and send through the WhatsApp number as well. So our coordinators will look at it and send to us. So two options are given. That means our focus is mainly the student should work during the lessons. And remember, we allow only the students who work during the lesson. Even if you're weak, it doesn't matter. Weak or talented students all are allowed to the lesson. But remember, if you are interested in science and if you like to work harder and if you like to work with us, definitely you can join. Okay, right. So this is the basic overview of students, our theory lesson, our worksheets, and our new implemented methods such as tables. As I mentioned, I showed you some pictures, the tables and the flow charts. Okay, right. Now, the final part, students, now you all have to know that how will your GCE O levels will be. First, you have to know the structure from now itself. Then you'll be used to it. Otherwise, now let's say you have studied grade 10, 11. Normally, what do the teachers do? At the last 4 months of the grade 11, they show you the O-level papers. That's not good because you should be used to it. This is how the real O-level paper is and how the structure of questions are. Then it's like familiar. Then you won't get hesitate to do the papers. Right. Let's start just the structure of the paper. So nothing new. It's like a kind of a term paper you get. You have to think it in a very simple manner, right? So General Certificate of Education, they have mentioned this is a 2016 paper, the first year paper of the new syllabus, right? And I have to mention that this is the year paper I sat for. Okay, right. And it was a very easy paper. You can see normally students, you will get 40 questions as an MCQ. How many questions as an MCQ? 40 questions as an MCQ. This is a very important part, students. Why? Because you can easily get this 40. If you get one correct, you get solid 1 marks. No one can change it. Okay, so our focus, mainly our paper lessons and our theories, we are focusing on this uh, MCQs, multiple choice question. So since the mark is higher, they don't give easy questions. You have to remember that, right? Yeah. Uh, Hello? Okay, nothing to convey, right? If there's anything to convey, feel free to do that. I'll be frequently checking the chat messages, right? Doesn't matter. You don't need to unmute your microphone. You can send it through the chat. Yeah. So paper one, that's going to be like entire day. 2 hours will be given for you for the paper one. You can see the time allocated, students. You'll have to be. Yes, exactly. That's right. Okay. Good prediction. Okay. So yes, and you have to concentrate on your O levels now. We have done and we have passed our years, right? Okay. Right. So this is the 40 MCQs are given. You can see here 40 MCQs and the time management, students. Every student say that the paper is easy, but they couldn't manage within the time. 1 hour, not 2 hours, it's 1 hour. So 40 questions you have to deal within 1 hour. It's not even 1 minute. No, it's more than 1.5 minutes, I guess. 14 to 1.5, 60. So per question, the time allocated is just 1.5 minutes. And students, you have to remember, these 40 questions are subdivided into four parts or four aspects, we say, four sections, right? The first to 10 questions you can see is like general common questions, which is given in the book. They directly give the first 10. So every student, if you study a little bit, even little bit in sense, if you revise the book, you can get the 10 marks from that. That is the main easy way to score the marks. And the second set of questions, students, you all can see from 10 to 20. That's about like they give some calculation question, physics related, and some theory question. A little bit the level of easiness is reduced now. Now it's becoming more harder when it's about 20 because the half of the paper is done with 20 questions. Then on, you can see that's where the students will struggle because they give very, very confusing questions from 20 to 30, especially statement questions where even you can't think. I mean, like it might be every answers look similar. You cannot select the false statement or the correct statement. So in that way, it's all about a student practice a lot. We will do a lot of MCQs, lot of past papers. Then you will be okay. And also, we are really experienced in predicting the patterns of the paper. Now, let's say if we know that 2016 to 2025, because you all are the badges from 2026, I think so, if it's a December 2025. Yeah. So therefore, the particular 8, 9 years papers we will be going through, and then we can say that, okay, if this question repeatedly be there in the paper, we will be discussing that and we will be writing review points as well. Oh, I forgot about that point. What is that review points? Very important when doing past papers. Review points. Review points. It's a very simple thing, students. Normally, when we do MCQs, especially for MCQs, essays and structures, it's like exactly straightforward. What you learn, you have to apply. Some of the questions, when it's physics and chemistry, you have to think a bit, like especially the practical parts. So it's like we have to be like more experienced in the practical. So to give you the practical environment, we support you with some videos, share the videos, okay, and then we'll be giving. And students, no worries, if you miss a particular lesson, you have another chance to uh, get recovered. I mean, you will get the recording. So every lessons are recorded. So therefore, but don't take it as a chance or a granted, because in this case we want every students to attend the lesson. That's we need, because doing a recording, giving a recording, and sometimes students they don't listen to it. So those things are actually not effective, right? So if it's an unavoidable circumstance, if it's due to any unavoidable reason, if you couldn't join, you can inform prior to us, to our the WhatsApp number what they're given. So our coordinators and the IT team will assist you to get the recordings, right? That is an option. And suppose when a student gets the recording, we mark it as an attended student, even though if you didn't attend the lesson, we okay, we attend as a marked, I mean, attended student. And the second thing, if you're not, I mean, normally if you're year 10 and year 11, you wanted to cover the topics, because some students, they say if they didn't join due to some reasons, they missed out the whole part and they couldn't get the idea of the subject. So this won't happen here, because we're going to record the lessons completely, and we'll be sending the recording within 24 hours, right? So there's an option. So we try to make your studies more easier and to reduce the burden. That's why we are here, right? Okay. What is about review points? That's my other question. Review points itself, students. Let's say now, I'm going to discuss. Now, normally, what do the intuition, what do? They just say that, okay, the answer for they give you some time to do the questions. And then they say, okay, the answer for the first one is 2, and the second one, 4. Okay, 1. Okay, how many students? They give marks also. 98%, 40%, 30%, but no point, because that marks is not going to decide your O-level marks, right? That's just to enthusiasm or may boost the children, motivate the students only they do, but it's no point. What we do, we asked for the answers from the students, and also every questions we will discuss. Now, for example, let's say question 1, then we will discuss what. Now, let's say if you get a similar type of question again, we will be discussing each review points regarding it. Then you will be able to do any questions at any time. That is the objective of doing mainly the paper lessons, right? But students, it's like this for about, yes, Shaheen, what's the doubt?
So how long is the part 2 paper?
Part 2, I will discuss. First, we'll finish off the part 1. Part 2 paper is the main part actually, right? I will explain. Don't worry. After explain the part 2 and the markings also, I'll explain, and then we'll conclude. Okay, right? Good. Y'all are very inquisitive about the papers and everything. That's really good. So if you are more inquisitive and working hard, definitely feel free to join with us. We will help you in any means, right? Okay. So in this case, students, I was saying about the review points. So every points I'll give as a short note. Okay, write the short note for this. So for every question, especially if there's a common question, students, no point of writing the short note. The direct question given from the book, so no point. Especially the questions which are starting from question 20 to 40, we will be giving review points. But you may wonder, oh, they just took around one lesson to finish the just 10 MCQs. It doesn't matter, because even though if we do those 10, you have studied 10 different things from that 10 MCQs. That's what our objective is. Okay? Is that clear? This is all about part 1. So the time allocated is 1 hour, students. We have to train with the time as well. Only 1.5 minutes is given for the questions, each questions. And then 40 questions are given. Most challenging paper. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, great, right, very good. Yes. Now, students, since many students are interested in knowing about the part 2 paper, yes, yeah, we'll go with the part 2 paper. This is actually your part 2 paper, students. It's contributes for 3 hours. Now, since it's 1 hour plus 3 hours, so it's going to be a total of 4 hours given to you, right? So the 3 hour paper is not easy again. Why? You have to write essays, you have to write short answers as well. So there are two sections, students. You can see part A, which is known as structured questions, structured, and part B, which is known as essay type. Structured is like, students, they give a space like this, 1 line, 2 lines. So they give, only you have to write depending on the available space. No need to write unnecessary things or more elaborated things. You don't need to exaggerate your answers. Just keep it very short and simple. Right. And students, the marking they give is, there are four questions are there. No optional questions. You don't have any options. You have to do all the four questions. It's mandatory to do all the four questions. You will get 15 per question, 15 marks. 15 marks per question. Then it's going to be times 4, 60. So 16 cents, they'll divide that by 2 again to give your final marks. I will show how the final marks is arrived. Right. So that's the structure part. Is there any doubts with the structure part? Any doubts with the structure part? No doubts? Any doubts? Okay. No doubts. Okay, good. Right. Okay. Now let's go with the part B. Part B is about essays. This is where many students lose their marks because they evaluate your level, evaluate your knowledge based on the part B. Right. You can see here they have clearly mentioned, students, answer 3 questions from question 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 5 to 9, they give around 4 optional questions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 questions, including 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 questions they give, but you have an option to select any 3 from it. Any 3 are selected. According to your choice, you can select it. If you're okay with this particular question, then that means you have to go through every questions to know which is the easiest one. Doing the smart work is selecting the easier questions and the parts what you know you have to select it. Okay, I will train you because later on when we after about 8 months for grade 10, and definitely you're going to join. Oh, the student is joining now. Okay, right. Anyway, no worries. The recording is sent. Right. Okay, the student who joined just now, don't worry, we are recording the lesson. So whatever we discussed so far, you can listen to the recording and understand. Now, actually, we are in the second part of the lesson. We were discussing about the past papers, how our past papers will be, especially the part 1 and the part 2, because you should be very familiar to the GCO level past papers. Okay, right. That's what we are discussing. The first we said that there was a MCQs, 40 MCQs are there, which is a major part of GCO levels because you can get solid 40 marks from each questions, one question, 1 marks, and the time allocated 1 hour, right? And the second part, now we are discussing about the structure and the essay. The structure is, students, where you will get 4 questions. And I'm very sorry to mind the other students repeating the same thing because sometimes the other students, the students who joined newly, they couldn't understand it better. So they might feel it as inconvenient for them. So just a quick brief, I'll try to go ahead. Then the rest, they will cover it from the recordings, right? So you can look at here, there are about 15 questions are there, sorry, 15 marks per question. 4 questions are given for each. So 15 times 4, 60 marks are given. This is also a major part. But remember, students, 60 marks is divided by 2 to get 30. 30 is your overall mark. So you can imagine you have to do 15 times 4, 4 structures fully. You have to fill all these blanks to get that 60. Is that easier, or to get the MCQs is easier? MCQs you get straightforward 40. Understood? So that's why we target MCQs. Our main focus is about MCQs. If a student gets 35 above in MCQs, the A pass is guaranteed. There's nothing else. It doesn't matter if you do just structured a little bit. Essays, you have to do a bit, because the same contribution they're giving for essays, again 60 marks, because 20 marks is given for each essay question. As I mentioned, you have a chance to select the options, optional questions, where you should be more smart enough to select the questions which are easier for you and which you know. So therefore you can gain more marks. That's about your intelligence. You have to, we will train you, like for example, we'll train you how you can, now let's say if you're okay with biology and chemistry and these particular topics, then we'll say, okay, then please select these type of questions. We'll train that, especially in your grade 11s. Okay, right. And 20 marks will be given for y'all times 3. So 20 times 3, it is 60 again, students. Now you can imagine 60 is divided by 2 to get 30. So 30 for the structure, 30 for the essay, so 60, and the remaining 40 is for the MCQ. I will just display that in the board to a little bit understand. Actually, the new student Thenupam, don't worry, we were actually discussing the main points, especially what are the new methods we have implemented to make the science easier subject, right? These are the methods we have taken from the university students, and we have discussed with them after a particular research. We have uh, gained some success rates as well after doing these methods, right? For nationals also we are going to do, but for no internationals, we already follow that methods. The simple techniques, main the summary tables. I will just show you some summary tables. You can see here, these are the summary tables what we have constructed. We normally give the layout for the students and then let them to work. Sorry, I didn't share it. One second. Right, you can see here, this is one of our Sci Quest Academy prepared uh, summary table. Actually, I have to say, to be honest, it's my table. I created this, right? So this is a very simpler table. You can see where this is the grade 11 part. We include the pictures and then give the layout like this, and tell the students to do them. Kind of mainly we focus every students who join the lesson, and only limited students are allowed in our class. We don't take 150 students per classes, because we are going to take very few students and we need the best A's or the best progress from them. A's is our target. Every students who join our lesson should take A's. Even if it's 5 students, it doesn't matter. We'll start with the lessons. We don't mind, but we need A's from y'all. Until that, we won't leave you. So if you're a student who is very interested in science, working harder, and you can clarify your doubts at any time, everything will be given and guidance will be given throughout. If you are feeling difficult in kind of like studying, if you need study tips, please request us. We'll try to arrange a seminar or kind of guidance seminar for you all. We'll do that as well. Okay, right. So you can look at here, this one of the layout we have prepared. The other layout will be, this is a kind of another layout simply to study about the gases. These are like, students, in your national syllabus books, there are about 10 to 20 pages. They have given these topics, but we just summarize it to just one A4 paper or A3 paper. A3 is to include a little bit more information. So which would make your kind of burden, it reduces your burden, make your workload easier. So you will feel science as an easy subject in your mind, and you can contribute your rest of the time for the other 8 subjects. I can know that, especially our national students, they have to face all the 9 subjects. That's compulsory. So in that case, you have to understand you can't contribute more time for science, and you can't leave the other subjects. We want to take 9 A's, right? But our Sci Quest Academy will help you to take A in science, a guaranteed A if you work with us from the beginning to the end. And remember, students, I can see some students, they join several lessons for grade 10, several lessons for grade 11. I don't recommend. If such students are noticed, actually, we will try to inform them not to do so, because you will be confusing with the level of teaching method. Now, if say you're joining with Sci Quest Academy, just join one lesson for grade 10, one lesson for grade 11, the paper and the theory both done.
Excuse me,
That's
sir.
it. Yes. Yeah.
I
Okay.
have another class at 5:30. Is it okay if I leave now?
All right. Yeah. Okay. No problem. Anyway, 5:30, we are going to finish our lesson. Right. Thank you for joining. And also, if you're interested in joining, you can feel free to send a message. Then they will be guiding to you. Okay. Right. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. For the other students, especially for the Tenupa who's just joined a little bit late. So that's what we were discussing, especially about the past papers and all the other stuffs. Right. So you can look at here. Yeah, and the past papers. So students, our focus is about the MCQs. Okay, right. That's all from my side. These are the
Sir,
guidance.
excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead, dear.
Sir, when do we have the another class? The trial session is been finished, and when do we have the classes scheduled?
Yes, now after all the students join, now this is the final trial lesson. We hope to commence it from next week. So we have to get the information from all the students, and we will update you. Okay. Right. And remember, I forget to mention about that. The first 5 admissions, they will get a discount of 1000 LKR. That is a very important thing. You can join both, so you'll be just charged 2500. Suppose if you're joining after the first 5 admissions, you'll be getting 3500 LKR. So if you try to register soon and do the payment, you'll be added to a new grade 10 group, and you'll be updated with the Zoom links as well. Okay, right, good. Yes, great. If there's any doubts, you can clarify. Now it's your time. We can give you about 5 to 10 minutes. What about Tenupa? If there's any doubts, if there's anything to be repeated, since you joined a little bit late, you can let us know. Or anything to clarify? Please send us feedbacks because it's very important. Yeah, send us whether if it's clear, how was the lesson. Those are like boost us. It motivates us.
Sir, I understood. Sir.
Understood it,
No
right?
doubt.
Okay, okay,
It
that's
is clear
great.
to me too.
Sorry,
It is clear to me too.
sorry, I couldn't get you.
It is clear to me too.
You got it right. You understood, right? Perfect. Okay. So anyway, don't worry, Tenupa. We'll be sending the recording, so you can listen to the recording from the beginning. Actually, we discussed very important points from the beginning, how we are going to deal with the theory part and with the paper lesson as well. Okay, students, then we can conclude. Hope you all have a very fantastic day, right? And goodbye. See you all soon.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.